Intriguing match of Champions League football it was between heavyweight champions, and they're back to look for who's going to be in the finals. We have Godwin and John to do justice to the analysis.
Hi guys.
And before we run into details, let's talk about Bayern Munich and Real Madrid. What do you see in that game? What happened? We thought Harry Kane would be bagging a lot of goals. We saw Bayern Munich open the game with a lot of energy, intensity in the first 20 minutes until they considered the first goal in the 24th minute of the game, and it was from there the game had to change, and people started. Real Madrid grew into the game and started playing a good football, and I think they had to balance it out with Jude Bellingham and Vini playing up front, Rodrigo coming in from the left
side,
and Valverde coming in from the right. It was mind-blowing when you saw that lineup and you ask yourself, what was Ancelotti thinking at that time?
I think Ancelotti, like every other seasoned manager, you're in the running for the Champions League. You can't start with a bad foot. You have to put a good foot. You have to put a good foot forward, and the formation tells you, I want to win the Champions League. Like, that's it. All the best players are out there in their best position, all of them giving the best they can deliver on a very good night where Real Madrid took the lead. You know, obviously Bayern Munich were able to come back in with a goal or two, but I feel like Real Madrid were dominant for the predominant parts of the first half. I don't know what you made of their performances.
I think the Ancelotti changed his formation because of Bayern Munich defense.
Yes.
If you have to play, instead of playing
the regular
4-4 diamond,
yes.
he played it flat. So he wanted to utilize that space
in between the midfield.
In that Bayern Munich defense.
Okay.
So if you watch the first goal, he was just moving around. I think this is what actually told him, keep moving around this defense. They will make a mistake. So once he made that move, Cruz found him and gave that pass, and they scored the first goal.
I think Cruz gave the signal for the run.
He gave him. That's what
he gave him the signal for the run.
That,
and I think with Kim coming in from injury, you know, he's been suffering, and he and Delight have been suffering from injury
and he has out of
a lot, and he's been out of form this season. So I think with that pace, he couldn't catch up with Vini, and that was what led to the opening goal at first. But they had kind of pressed high in the first half. If you notice, it was go in with much energy, get your first goal, and defend. But I think it didn't work out that much for Bayern Munich.
I would think that Bayern Munich, in this type of competition, of course, you're playing a Real Madrid. You do not want to be overrun. You do not want to, have your players playing under pressure. So Bayern Munich had to come out of the game attacking, trying to match fire with fire. They have a laundry list of injured players who are not available. But that is not to say that they didn't acquit themselves as a big side that they are. But I felt like Bayern Munich gave up a lot more of the possession at the higher side of the pitch, where we had the three midfielders from Real Madrid dominating the ball. Toni Kroos, we have Federico Valverde, we have Aurelien Tchouameni, just knocking and bossing that midfield, creating chances for the white players to make those runnings into the wing. And I saw that was a strategy that Real Madrid used to have an edge, if you feel, in the midfield, while Bayern Munich were more like watching for a counter-attack to dispossess Bayern Munich and try to make their own counter on the ball.
I have a problem with this whole Bayern Munich team is that the coach keep changing the team. Changing the midfield, he brought in Müller. I don't think he has played Müller for the last 5 games. He just brought him in. So, but if I understand this Real Madrid, they have been stable. The same players have been playing together for a very long time. Even though that they have injury crisis, but you notice that he rotates probably Kroos and Modric. He does not play both of them together in a game.
But that's because Real Madrid have a bigger depth of players to choose from in their team,
yes.
The way they are set up, And Real Madrid just have 2 players who are out on injury, and Bayern Munich have close to 5 players or more who are injured. So that limits the manager's option in who to start and who to play, but I feel he did the best he could with the players he had, but they were not as fluent as they could be in the attack. They had the most chances for goals. They created the most chances, they created the most opportunities. But on a night where you had two of England's stars playing in the Champions League semi-finals, we didn't see any of them, outperform the other.
But Kane did his best. I think Kane tried better. Why? Because why I like Kane's football is he drops to play with the midfield, then he moves. Do you understand? So he's like the person that organized the whole attack. He's the striker that scored 43 goals this season. He's been on fire. Do you understand? But they didn't create enough chances for him. Most in the game, he creates chances for himself. Do you understand? True. So, if you notice both of them, they play basically the same thing. 14 shots for Bayern Munich, 10 shots for Real Madrid.
And I think most of those shots came in the first 20 minutes of the game.
Because everybody was trying to
get the goal
for first. Unfortunately, Bayern Munich scored the first. Real Madrid scored the first goal. And then the game actually moved into another game.
What do you make of Lucas Vazquez starting at right back? We know we've not seen him start games recently for Real Madrid. Is it due to the lack or due to the injury or suspension of Cavan?
It's just suspension. I think it's injury or suspension.
Yeah, I feel Lucas Vazquez playing in that position, it's a utility player for Real Madrid in the sense that he's comfortable coming off the right. He's also comfortable playing in the center behind the 8. He's also comfortable in different positions. And when you look at the Real Madrid side, some of their key players in key positions are not available in that wing. And I feel like he was brought into that place more because of the wing back role he plays in, which is to get those run-ins,
he has space to bomb.
Yeah, he has space on the ball. So that's kind of like a secret weapon for Real Madrid in the attack, in the fact that they are able to free up Federico Valverde, will have to leave that wing and move into the center, giving him that free role, or maybe he will drop back to fill the position and let him play as a wing front.
I think for this whole game, the best thing Ancelotti did is to move Vinicius to the center forward.
Well, with that game, they played a 2-2 draw at the Allianz Arena, and we hope to watch out for the second leg.
Bayern Munich is going to the final.
Bayern Munich is going to the final. Well, I'll take your word for it. And before that, let's talk about PSG against Borussia Dortmund. Wow, what happened in that game? We were expecting Dembele to score a goal or two, perhaps.
Yeah, we saw a lot of missed chances. Like, you look at I want, just before we dive into the topic about the match and everything, let's just hone in on the fact that Luis Enrique, for the life of me, I do not understand why he would make that decision, started Barcola in Mbappe's position and moved Mbappe to an isolated role up front where there is no service. We all know that Kylian Mbappe is a winger. He is best utilized on the flanks because of the freedom to attack the ball, to dribble, to make those run-ins into the half, and to be able to play somebody on or finish the ball. But you played a Barcola in that position and froze Mbappe out of the movement of the game. Like, personally, like, if yes, we all know that Kylian Mbappe is leaving at the end of the summer. Yes, he's been benched a couple of games, put out of the team a couple of games, but in this match where the stakes are this high, Kylian Mbappe should have been played down the wing, and I felt not playing him in that position gave Borussia Dortmund that fluency to feel like this game is up for grabs, and they took the bull by the horn. They attacked PSG. They put PSG on defense for the bulk of the first half. I really don't know what Luis Enrique was thinking about by playing Mbappe out of position, and then definitely you see the control on the game. They didn't have any control on the game. They were literally under pressure for most of the game, and I felt like that's not a PSG side that is playing forward-thinking football. I don't know what you made of the match, Godwin.
I think they came out in the second half and they played fantastic
they were chasing
football.
The game.
Yeah, but they were chasing the game.
No, they had to hit the woodwork twice, and they were expected to score from set pieces, which didn't come as they expected. And that goal from Füllkrug, you know that this is something that everybody was looking up to. Get the early goal, and that was the same thing Bayern Munich almost did. Get the early goal, seal the win, but it didn't work out for Bayern Munich, and they played a draw. But in the case of PSG, I think Dortmund did the homework well, got the early goal in the first half, sealed the win from there, and defended.
Do you know why I like
the
football?
match.
Football, anything can happen. Do you understand?
Granted, yeah.
Anything.
Okay.
I can say that Mbappe plays well from the wings, but he has done a lot of good works and scored a lot of goals playing as a centre forward. Do you understand? So sometimes the truth is sometimes even Messi have off games where he plays that he does not do anything. I understand, but if I was Enrique, I would have moved Mbappe back to the wings. Let me try out this thing, but some of these coaches, they are stubborn. They will just keep playing. They play them. That's my problem with them. They don't really want to change.
I think when you have the Champions League final spot on the line, you keep ego and personal agendas out of the match because you are there to win the game.
Yes, but
you are there to pull up for the team.
You cannot win every game.
But you have to put in your best. You have to put in a good effort.
We're placing the fact that at some point you have to experiment with tactics. If it works
not
out, it
in
works
the
out.
Champions
No,
League
in the
semi-final.
not
it's
an
in
away
the Champions
game.
League semi-final.
It's an away game. You experiment with
Granted,
tactics.
but you do not do that when
and expect
I
a
feel
different
if you are
result.
playing at home in the Parc des Princes and you've
You can't
secured
experiment-
an away,
you can't experiment
if
with
you've
tactics in
secured
that
an
situation.
away
You know what
win,
I want to talk about?
and you are playing home now in the Parc des Princes after sealing the first half, if you want to now do 5-4-1 or whatever, you can do that. But I feel like that was uncalled for.
Sancho is a result. Let me not use that. I don't know what to describe.
You won't call him
No, but
resurrected.
you can't
Sancho
undermine
played-
his impact on
Sancho
the game down that flank. You can't undermine
Sancho
his impact
played a beautiful
on the game.
today. He completed the most dribble
Yes,
in Champions League season.
yes.
He played
Yeah,
fantastic.
true.
So I think
There's a stat I saw that Jadon Sancho has completed 7 dribbles in this match, far more than he did in 58 games for Manchester United.
And he finished with 11. He finished the whole game with 11. So
What are we not talking about?
I think that playing Borussia Dortmund at home is not easy. For them to reach a Champions semi-final, it's not by luck. That means they are doing something.
It's doing something exceptional.
But that
Something
also
right.
speaks to
And
the
look at-
allegations against Sancho as a player who is not working out, who is not committed to.
Manchester-
That also
leave
speaks
them.
that
Manchester United is
that
not working.
labeling by Eric Ten Hag is wrong because the 3 players that he has labelled and made scapegoats of, Jadon Sancho, Scott McTominay, and Harry Maguire, are the 3 players that are bailing his job so far over the last 2-3 weeks
and people can
in the Premier League,
People can
I
improve.
feel like I understand what you mean when you say people can improve, but I do not believe that Jadon Sancho over his tenure at Manchester United was as portrayed as Eric Ten Hag portrayed him as somebody who
remember
was
there's
not.
an ex-Man United player who is also in that Dortmund team. We're talking about Sabitzer, who actually scored the goal that gave them or created the chance that gave them this spotlight or this spot at the semi-finals. What do you make of these 2 players leaving Man United to excel in Dortmund?
That just speaks towards what Cristiano Ronaldo said before he left Manchester United for Al Nassr. The toxicity of the Manchester United backroom staff, the chaos, so to say, in the club structure and every other thing. That just highlights and confirms that, because we have 2 players who have been in that club thriving elsewhere. We have players who were labelled as poor performers, people with low work ethic, come in and they are on the run. Do you know what it feels like seeing Jadon Sancho putting those players on the run, making those runs, doing things that he never did for Manchester United in the last season?
You have to understand that every club is an institution. They have their different way. For example, you bring Havertz to Arsenal, he has been working more than he worked with Chelsea.
More work rate.
Do you understand? Because everybody around you is working, so you just have to work. Do you understand? So for me, Sancho moving to Borussia Dortmund and the coach trusting him, because most time when you go on loan, they normally put you on the bench because they know you are leaving after 6 months.
Yeah.
But this coach trusted him. Oga,
bear in mind also that he was there before he went to Manchester United.
That's what I'm saying.
So
But he wasn't.
have more
He wasn't the coach.
of opportunities
No,
in the
he was
man.
He was a
different
different
coach.
coach. That's what I'm saying. He was a different coach. But at least this coach trusted him. Some of these players, they are like Ajebo. You need to trust them. Let
I
them play
think,
with
I
freedom.
think also if a player senses that he does not have the full backing of the coach, he also withdraws it.
Yes,
to a
because for
certain
example,
level.
if I know if I'm going to play this game, I'm going to remove once the 60 minutes, the coach is going to take me off, or I'm going to be introduced the last 10 minutes of it. I face players. Now, what that was happening to Sancho with Manchester, he does not complete 90 minutes football. But this one,
you also have to give playing time to other players who are
Yes, I understand
Yeah,
that. I
and
understand that.
I think one of the compliments that has to be said on this show before we round up is we need to compliment Borussia Dortmund in
Yes,
the gameplay.
yes.
2 or 3
They contain
young
PSG,
players
yes.
that came in from England. We saw the
left back,
Adeyemi,
being
the
an attacking
Sanchos,
force. You know, we saw
the
Sancho.
Brandt.
We saw some other young players who were part of the Premier League setup in the academy level, coming to Borussia Dortmund, playing in the Champions League semi-final
And winning PSG
as though it's a norm, you know.
Okay.
Whatever is in the water over there at Dortmund, they need to keep it up, because
Exactly.
that's what we look to see. We love to see teams
what
playing
what
good
are your
football.
what are your hopes for the next leg, for the second
me,
leg?
finals.
Do you think Borussia Dortmund is going to the finals?
Finals is Bayern Munich and Dortmund.
So you're saying it's an all German finals?
Yes.
For me, I see the Champions League final being a Real Madrid PSG remake.
Wow.
That's the
Wow.
way I see it, because
It's more fun, but I don't think
I
it'll
think
happen.
it's going to be more fun.
It's
I
not
think
gonna happen.
somebody has to pull Luis Enrique's ear and tell him, this man, sit up and play this team. Let this guy have a final hurrah before
You know,
he goes
PSG
to
has
Madrid.
2 strikers that cost them
Basically.
close to 50 million plus.
And that
Ramos
I,
and
Someone has to pull his ear and tell him, this man, sit
they
up,
just
you
need to
know.
attack and win that
well,
game.
with that said, we hope we see you next time, and we hope to see good football next week Tuesday in the Champions League night, and we hope to see you on Saturday nights as well, as the big games continue across the top 5 leagues.